So, Katie, tell us a little bit, what is mindfulness?
Mindfulness is wonderful. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
Yes.
So the idea behind it, because I know it is a buzzword right now, lots of people are kind of saying it, it's simply being fully present in this moment and experiencing everything that's involved in this moment without judgment and with compassion. So that means all of your emotions, your thoughts, your physical sensations, what's going around you and internally in this moment. So I think a lot of people have this idea that mindfulness is, you know, the Dalai Lama on the mountain, no thoughts in there, completely zen. It's actually almost the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
When you are so fully present and aware of this moment, you are so in tune with everything that's going on. You're feeling your feet on the ground, clothing on your skin, things that your brain normally tunes out, and it helps you really be grounded in this moment, which is the only moment we can do anything with.
Dr. Johnson, how would you apply mindfulness to what we're talking about today? You know, we're talking about, we've touched base on depression, we've touched base on anxiety, stress, adjustment disorder, things that a lot of women are going through. How would you apply mindfulness to these kind of things, to these kind of principles as a therapeutic option? Obviously, there's medications, there's behavioral therapy training, but how would you apply mindfulness?
One of many tools, but it's an important tool, right? I think this is a really, really helpful concept, especially for anxiety, right? Like, anxiety is so focused on the future, is so focused on what might happen, what could happen, preparing for things. You know, people don't realize how much energy they're putting into predicting what's going to happen, right? And dealing with what could happen. And so for me, you know, the idea of kind of coming back into the moment and saying, like, whatever's going to happen, I'm going to handle that, right? Like, I have made it to this point. I've survived everything I've been through. And, you know, like, to reclaim that energy that's being put out into, like, okay, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I have to remember this? What if, oh my gosh, what if, you know, like, to pull all of that energy back into what I'm doing right now is a tremendously powerful thing, right? And I feel like, you know, again, in depression where again, your mind sometimes is kind of lying to you, right? And getting pulled into those thoughts and all of the energy that goes into those thoughts, if you can pull that back into the moment and really direct it towards healing, that's tremendous.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I like to do some mindfulness minutes myself, and one of my things I like to do, and I'm a horrible singer, but yes, on my way to the office, am I singing at the top of my lungs in the car? The answer is yes. And it helps center me and sets the tone for me to deal with my day. And everybody makes mindfulness personal. You know, some people may wake up early in the morning, take a few moments to breathe, or some people may when was the last time you looked at the stars or whatever, or as Katie's saying, you know, feeling the clothes on your body, you don't normally do that. And but I just really think about setting the tone for the day, and it's so interesting how you both have made the connection on applying it to what we're talking about today on dealing with mental health and destigmatizing the challenges that women face day in and day out.
And I think, you know, one thing that's really worth talking about is people, like you said, singing in the car on the way, or just taking a moment.
I like that.
Taking a moment to center yourself. You know, we get this idea, right, that like, oh, if I have to sit and be zen for 20 minutes, or it doesn't count, and, you know, there has to be like sandalwood going. Yeah, no. Like, one of my favorite sort of mindfulness teachers in the past, who was a very good friend of mine who taught like Tai Chi, things like that, right? So he said that anytime he got into his car and buckled his seatbelt, he would take 3 deep breaths, and he would repeat. He had like a phrase that he would repeat, and then he'd go on about his day, right? Like, it literally, I'll tell my patients, like, if you're in the grocery line and you can take 3 deep breaths, if you are just like, okay, like, you can take even one good solid breath, that totally counts, and it makes a huge difference, right? It's a huge difference. And you know, the paradox of anxiety and mindfulness, right, is that like I said, you spend all this time preparing for and all this energy preparing for what might happen. But when you're present in the moment, you can actually deal with whatever comes so much better, right?
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome.
So,
Katie, what's your thoughts about just kind of using mindfulness, applying it on a daily basis, or to any kind of these situations that we're talking about?
Absolutely. So the thing, and kind of going to the point about how mindfulness can be used with anxiety and depression, is anxiety definitely in the future, and depression, I'd say, more lives in the past.
Mhm.
So when we're not being mindful and kind of stuck in a depressive thought that's more regret, ruminating on things we can't change, it can cause a lot of distress as well. So simple ways, finding a breath, finding exercise is one of my favorite
Mhm.
ways to
Mhm.
practice mindfulness. Think about if you're sweating or running or doing yoga, you're so physically in that moment based on what your body's doing that you don't have time to let your brain be preoccupied with all these other things. I find that a lot of people tend to struggle with racing thoughts when they're the most vulnerable, so
Mhm.
right before bed,
Mhm.
or when they're trying to fall asleep, or first thing in the morning. So when you can set the tone, like you said, right when you start in the morning or right before bed, either through a few thoughts, a little quick body scan can be great. Starting
Mhm.
from the top of your head, go down to your toes, just notice, where am I holding tension? We tend to clench our jaws, raise our shoulders up, hold on to our fists. You can just notice that and release that. That's a great quick way to just kind of, okay, now I'm really fully in this moment. And then you're kind of physically telling your body, I'm not in danger.
Mhm.
Another easy way to practice mindfulness is by changing how you're holding yourself. I encourage people I work with to, first thing in the morning, lay out in your bed and starfish. Just put yourself all the way out. It may feel a little weird, but what you're doing is you're exposing your vital organs, and that's really telling your body, I'm safe. My anxiety doesn't need to start coming in here because nothing's gonna hurt me if I'm exposing my body like this. I'm saying I wouldn't do this if I wasn't safe. So there are a lot of little simple physical things we can do without even addressing our thoughts.
Excellent. Well, thank you for giving some good, awesome examples out there. I'm going to starfish tomorrow
Oh,
morning.
me too.
I
That's a
was
great
I
one.
do it
I
every
was going to tell my
morning.
wife to just
My husband
slightly
thinks
slide
it's
out of the way.
weird.
I love
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say, just
But,
make sure you're not whacking her in the
yeah.
head.
So
right?
mine will be like
Partner.
a modified starfish. I might have to do it on the ground. So it is what it is. But thank you for that table. So what?